Hello, welcome to another episode of the Crefts Couch Pod. Today we are going to talk about feelings. So many feelings. And I've been chatting a little bit about this on IG, and it definitely ruffled some feathers. So we're going to chat about it some more on here on the pod. But before we get into that, let's chat a little bit about what's coming up. November's coming, which means new offerings. I'm so excited. So I have recently structured things where I am offering a new masterclass and entrepreneurial program each month. So these things are something you can join a la carte, or you can join the membership, which they come in, or memberships rather. So the masterclass is going to be Living Beyond Judgment. If you follow me, you know I talk about judgment a ton because it is super relevant and holds people back in so many ways, whether it be mentally, physically. Judgment is just so pervasive in our reality, yet what if something else were possible? What if we could function completely different? And I want to have a conversation about it. So I was inspired by going into the holidays and Thanksgiving and being around family and all that, where, we may struggle dynamically with setting boundaries or criticisms or things like that. So this will be potent, I get the feeling. So Living Beyond Judgment is going to be our November masterclass. So that's something you can join a la carte. It is two call masterclass. So you can join that a la carte, or if you want so much more, you can join the Courage to Choose membership. Now that membership is a masterclass membership. It started off a little bit different last year, I believe in February, March, it was launched, and I was doing pre-recorded content each month. And that got kind of not like the vibe I wanted to go for. And so we switched it up to live trainings instead. And it's been so much fun, and I've just been loving it. And when you join the Courage to Choose membership, you get the entire portal. So all the content from the beginning, past calls, bonuses, all sorts of other things. It is a steal. Seriously, it's a crazy steal. So there's just so much in there besides getting a chat room and being engaged with other people on this journey. And these masterclasses are all around mindset work. So they're really for anyone just desiring more ease in life, however you want, more ease. So that membership does require a 3-month commitment because, when you choose you, I wonder what it would take for you to continue to show up for you. It's really easy for us to get excited about things and then give up on ourselves and stop showing up. Yet when we make these commitments, it can create something for us that creates a bit greater, that allows us to know that we can choose even in times of resistance. So that's that with the masterclass. With the program, so the program I have each month is more calls. So it's weekly calls throughout the month. So 5 calls, and it is my entrepreneurial program. And this month it's going to be Invite, Don't Sell. And I create a different entrepreneurial program each month around mindset energies of what I get creates greater in business. And so we've done all sorts of fun things like get seen on social and let your biz tell you what to do. And so I'm really excited to move into this new arena of really dwelling from the space of invitation to possibilities, rather than this like hard push sell geared towards people's pain points and disempower them and, use nervous system fear to get folks to buy, just all of that, which I learned and even tried on for size and just really didn't resonate. And so I get there's this different possibility with being in business that energetically empowers people and invites them to your world, invites them to who you be and what you're creating. So that I'm super excited about. That again, that's also something you can join a la carte. Or if you're like, yo, I need all the things, then Activate is the membership for you. So I actually have two memberships, the Courage to Choose with the masterclasses, and then Activate is the one that basically includes the program and all of Courage to Choose. So all of the masterclasses, all of that previous content, and all future entrepreneurial programs. So that is a 6-month commitment because, again, we're looking to hold our feet to the fire to continue to choose through times of resistance or avoidance and kind of work through that and continue to show up for ourselves. So those are the programs coming up. If you have a question, feel free to DM me on IG, but I'm sure I'll be talking about it more on there. So let us jump into feelings. So many feelings. What do I want to say about feelings? I have come to the space of really seeking to say what I've been desiring to say for a long time that I've been on social. I've gone through many iterations, pivots, clarifications of messaging, what I'm about, what is my point of view, all these sorts of things. And I recently went through another major shift, I would say, where right now it is just landed and it is potent AF. And it is feeling so good to be in this space because I can tell you not being here was a struggle at times to just keep knowing what to choose and working through that. And so with this recent clarification and message coming through, I have been feeling so free to be me and express my message. Now, for a long time, I avoided sharing these things because, the cancel culture, the people on the internet that have all the points of view that I don't really want to hear, it was so much. I used to crumble under the hate so dynamically. And I really lately have made the demand of myself to choose something different because I got that it really wasn't a kindness to me nor the people that are ready to hear it that I was doing, because if I wasn't sharing it, then they couldn't receive it. So this started off by being inspired to talk about feelings. And really, I got the ping after I had my bars run. Big surprise. But after I had my bars run, I was deep in the receiving mode and feeling really good. And I was like, what is it I'm creating here? You know what I'm creating? Psychology done different. This is psychology done different. This is not your traditional psychology. So if you come in expecting that, you might be a little triggered. But this is something done different because for me, the traditional way wasn't fitting. So for whatever reason, feelings pinged me first. And, I started to look at all these kind of one-liners people say, and what do they really mean? Like, feel your feelings. Your feelings are valid. What does that even mean? And I get where the idea of initially saying, feel your feelings had good intentions, right? It's basically trying to communicate to people, don't ignore being present. Don't ignore what you're experiencing, right? And don't suppress it. Yet, if we just stop there, inherently feel your feelings really means like dig into what you're feeling. Lean into it, dig it, milk it, because you got to know that you let it go. You got to feel it enough to let it go. But how do you know when you've let it go? Like, does it take a couple minutes? Does it take a couple hours? Is this like weeks? I mean, when you get in a funk, it could be days or weeks or whatever. Did you feel the feeling enough? Well, who knows? It wasn't until I came across alternate information that I was like, wow, that is it. That's it. And I remember it was Dr. Joe Dispenza talking about it, and he was saying the sensation of a feeling is actually like at max 90 seconds, a minute and a half. That's it, 90 seconds. So how do we all end up then with feelings that are lasting way, way way, way longer than that. So the thing you got to get here is that a feeling is really a momentum of energy. And the energy gains steam depending on our point of focus, right? So where is our thought process focused on? And if our thought process now is largely unhelpful, then how is digging into your feelings actually helping? Right? So it's like if the feeling is informed by the thoughts and the thoughts aren't helpful, then could you not be digging into a feeling and ultimately just making it worse? Yeah. So when the momentum gets going really strong, which is when we are digging into it, leaning into it, thinking a lot about it, it's not realistic that we can just jump from feeling really crappy to feeling good. It's going to take some time. So what we're wanting to do here is acknowledge what you're experiencing, right? We can't ignore it. I'm not saying don't feel the feeling. I'm saying choose something else, which means acknowledge it and release it. So instead of feeling, what would this create? Because if you have this 90-second sensation and a story gets going, right? You're telling yourself a story about why you feel the way you feel. Your significant other didn't take out the trash and they didn't make the bed and maybe they didn't make your coffee right in the morning. I don't know, right? It's like all these things. Now you're mad at them. Now you're mad. And you have a right to feel mad. And because, you need to feel your feelings, now feel really mad. And then you're thinking about all the other reasons why you don't like them because you've already decided and you're building a lot of momentum. And now law of attraction, you're attacking all the reasons why you don't like them. It's like, what? This is because of the story you are telling yourself, right? And so the momentum gets really strong, and yet we're thinking, well, I have to feel my feelings. And now so this is me releasing it, right? It's like, no, we're actually amplifying it. We're actually making it worse. And so what we're seeking to do instead is to acknowledge what I'm experiencing, right? And seek to see it more neutrally, right? To me, I just see it as either like my body is the weather or a radio receiver, just these kind of neutral ideas, right? So like I see it as the weather, especially when I'm crying, because it's like, oh, okay, my body just requires weathering right now. It requires a release of energy. And if I can seek to not tell myself a story about why I feel the way I do, then it actually moves much quicker. And I actually don't get as low, so to speak, right? I don't dig in so deep because I'm just allowing it to process and move. And so what if it could be as simple as acknowledging and releasing? So I also like to see it as a radio receiver, especially when maybe I'm experiencing some anxiety or irritability, and just look at what am I aware of here, right? If we're tapped in to the collective energy, then certainly I'm picking up all sorts of different things here. So the other phrase that I also hear a lot, that I have a bit of a bone to pick, was that feelings are always valid. Your feelings are valid. And at first, that feels nice. It feels nice because when you're really distraught or you're really recovering from intense trauma responses and you haven't learned a lot of tools or way to create more flexible thinking, then being told that your feelings are valid feel like a big relief, right? Especially if you had really hypercritical parents as a kid or things like that, where you weren't really seen or understood. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm finally seen. And, this feels good, right? The issue with that is validity will only get you so far, because something that is valid means you are right to feel this way. You are right to feel this way. And so let's say, you're upset and someone says, you know what, you are right to feel this way. You are valid in your feelings. You're like, that's right. I am right. Wait, I still feel crappy. So now what do I do? Right? It doesn't actually shift it. It sticks it because it's ultimately a judgment. Being right, wrong, good, or bad, it's a judgment. And judgment is A, conclusion, and B, activates the nervous system. So anytime we go to conclusion, then that is the belief that must show up. I'm right for feeling this way. Okay, law of attraction says, and you can keep feeling this way. It's like, well, okay, so what else is possible? What if instead of it being right or wrong, it was just awareness? What if feelings were just information? Would that give you more freedom in how you thought about it? There is such a difference between the energy of feelings are valid versus feelings are awareness. It's so different. The second one has more expansion and possibilities. It invites you to choose something different. Now, the reason the validity one contracts is because of the judgment. And the reason why this activates our nervous system so much, in my perspective, is because nature doesn't function from judgment. All right, judgment is a man-made construct. We have come up with it. We have built our entire reality around it. Yet, nature doesn't function from it. Animals don't function from it. So what is it really creating for us? Is there something else that we could choose? Especially because the importance of the nervous system. I mean, regulating our nervous system is wildly impactful on our mental, physical, spiritual, energetic, just all the things. You want to have a healthy mindset, regulate your nervous system. You want to reduce disease, regulate your nervous system. You want to connect to your intuition, regulate your nervous system. I mean, it's at the foundation of all of that. And so you could be doing all the breath work and tapping and dancing it out and all those sorts of things. Yet if you are still functioning from defining your entire life from right, wrong, good, bad, am I doing this good enough, right enough, bad enough, whatever. If you're functioning from that, then it's like almost counterproductive because it's like, well, let me do some breath work to regulate. Now I'm going to go mass amounts of judgment, deregulate. Now I need to do more breath work, right? So it's just this like constant, ever-going thing. And so I wanted to start challenging, offering other possibilities for these kind of traditional points of view because they just always didn't fully sit with me. They didn't resonate. And yet I just said the same thing over and over again because it's like, this is what I'm taught, so it must be right. And now that I'm at a space of tuning in more to me and following the energy and really actually tuning into what the energy is saying versus what words are coming out of people's mouth, then I recognized what creates greater, even if it flies in the face of what everyone else is choosing. So getting back to, your feelings are valid, it can maybe feel like some initial relief if you're functioning from a lot of rightness, right? Because usually we're shaming ourselves and then someone says we're right and it's like, oh, thank God I'm right. But then it stops there, and that's the issue. And so it sticks people because it's a conclusion and it's activating the nervous system. And so what we want to look at is, what if your feelings were just information? What if they were just awareness? What if they weren't right? They weren't wrong? They just were, right? And when we can get out of contraction with that, the energy is able to move. And ultimately, that is the pinnacle of health, is free-flowing energy. Whether it be in the body or the mind, energy needs to be in motion. And we make it stagnant when we function from judgment and all sorts of contracted points of view. So I invite you today to look at what else is possible. If there are other ones of these like one-liner statements that have not resonated with you, I'd love for you to DM me. Let me know if there are other ones of these that you'd love me to chat about and look at what the energy of it really is underneath, because I get that these conversations will truly free us. Until next time.